Hello, I'm Dr. Ron Eglin, and today, we're in COP 4813 for this lecture, but this can be used in a lot of different places. But what we're going to do today is one of the more simple things that you get to do for the web systems programming, which is using XHTML. First, what is XHTML? Well, it stands for Extensible Hypertext Markup Language, which is a derivative of XML. And it is an XML-based markup language. You use tags to mark up text. But the nice thing about XHTML, and the newer, especially the versions 4 and above, is what it does is it separates the presentation of information from the structure of documents. And that's kind of an important thing, an expectation that when you use XHTML, you use it correctly so as to take the structure and the presentation apart from each other. So what we're going to do first is we're going to look at a very simple, straightforward document here. This is a document. This is a good old Hello World document, very basic, but I've declared everything in here that you would need to have in a well-formed, well-written XHTML document that just does something very simple. I have the initial XML tag, the DOCTYPE tag, some comments, the HTML declaration, header, body, and then the HTML closer. So this is an XHTML document. I could copy paste this, but I'd have to remove the numbers here, but I could copy and paste this and then bring it up in a web browser. And this is actually what you get there. You can see that it's got the Hello World here. That's actually coming from the title, and the Hello World, which is in the body, and that's what you would expect to see. So it's a very basic. But let's look at what these tags actually mean. So we're going to go through them one at a time and look at them. First thing is you see that XML version. Well, what I'm saying to the web server, and I'm actually saying it to the web server, not to the end browser, I'm saying to the web server is that this is using XML version 1. Now, I can also declare an encoding in this. I can actually say that this is encoded with UTF-8. And encoding becomes important because you do have the need sometimes to encode things for foreign languages. You may only be using encoding for the English language, which in that case you can essentially by default leave the encoding attribute of the tag out. But if you need to encode for other languages, you're going to need to declare what type of encoding you're having. So that's the first part. By the way, I also have links down here within W3 Schools which will take you through some tutorial information about how to use these tags properly. The next declaration you have is the DOCTYPE. And this DOCTYPE declaration is going to declare what version and type of HTML are you going to use. Well, typically here we're going to be using either the strict or the transitional version of HTML. And there's a specific DOCTYPE declaration. In other words, you don't just say strict or transitional. There's a specific DOCTYPE declaration that is referenced off the web that says here is the type that I'm using, and strict and transitional aren't the only two. Strict means use, like if I say HTML and I want to use version 401 strict, it will only use and allow you to use version 4.01 XHTML tags. If you use transitional, it allows the 401 tags and also deprecated tags from previous versions of XHTML. So the next line in that document was declaring the DOCTYPE and telling the document, or in this case the web browser, what exactly version of HTML am I going to use. Now, the next two lines that I have were comment lines, and they're very straightforward. They begin with the less than symbol that declares all HTML, XHTML tags, exclamation point, dash, dash, and they end with a dash, dash, greater than symbol. And you can put any type of comment between those two. I don't always use comments, but if I'm actually writing things that need it in code, because a lot of times you'll have server-side code that's being embedded there, I almost always put in comments where the code came from, why I'm using it, and so I do put references in there. And those are actually for me, personally doing that. So the next tag I have there is the HTML tag. The HTML tag itself says, okay, I am now going to have HTML the next portion of this document that's within the start and the close HTML tags is HTML. The only thing I need to do in this case is I can declare that there's a specific namespace for the HTML itself. And by the way, I don't need to declare that attribute HTML NS, which is HTML namespace. But remember that XHTML documents are designed to be able to use XML tags that you declare, XML tags from languages that you may write inside the document themselves, and use HTML. Whenever you have the ability of using tags that are defined by multiple places, in other words, I can create my own language and actually use HTML style tags there. They would be XML tags. I could declare tags that have the same declaration, like H1, H2, as HTML tags. The namespacing tells me how to resolve collisions between types of tags. You're going to be getting into this a lot more later as we start getting into XML and start dealing with the concept of actually having tags that come from different sources and have different meanings but have the same syntax. And in that case, you have the possibility of collisions. Then the next two tags that you see are the head and the body tags. And the head tag contains meta information about the document, and the body actually contains the document itself. So one of the pieces of header information that I always say that you should have in the head is the title. You can also have all sorts of other meta tags, and these meta tags can be ones that are used for allowing browsers to easily categorize and code the information within the body. In other words, it can say, okay, here's this is a document on baseball, and I can put a header tag with meta information in it that says this is about baseball. It allows web crawlers and browsers to look at it and say, oh, I know what this document's about because it's in the header information, without actually having to go through the body and figure it out. This is really good if you want to have web pages that are easily searchable and show up in the search engines. So there's a lot of things that you'll do in header information that you'll use. And then, of course, the body is just simply the actual displayed text that you see in the document. Now let's talk a little bit about structure. There's no such tag as the structure tag, but the basic tenet of XHTML4 is to take the structure, the content of what you've got in a document, and separate it from the formatting. So in other words, a tag like the H1 tag says that this is a header level 1. Well, many documents are hierarchical in nature. You have a header, okay, or you have a title, then you go to the next level and you have a subheader and a subheader, and the header tags allow you to keep this type of organization, and they are a structural tag. Paragraph tags is a structural tag. It says that whatever is between the P and the closed P is a paragraph. Note that this is a structure of the document itself. Okay, and also allows you to, there's other tags such as the div tag and other tags that allow you to take portions of structure but also put in formatting within that. So the older versions of HTML, like 3, were all about just displaying the document the way you want to display it. But the newer versions are about two things: displaying it the way you want to display it, but also maintaining the structure of the document. What this does is it allows you to create documents that are searchable, easy to understand, collapsible. They can do more than what the old documents that were just about display could do. The last thing I'm going to talk about as we go through here is how we deal with the actual formatting. And we deal with formatting with style sheets. And I'm going to talk more about style sheets later, but I prefer to take all the information about how you want something to display and move it to an external file. Like in this case, the mystyle.css says that I'm going to actually use a style sheet, and the style sheet is going to define how I want things to appear. As you start working in cascading style sheet, you'll learn quickly. It's a fairly easy to understand language, but it's very powerful in the capability of making things external to the document that allow you to define the style. The nice thing is that if you remove things out to external style sheets, you can modify huge portions of the document by just changing one thing in the style sheet. This is good because it allows you to define a style for your website in a single file, and by changing that single file, change the entire site, making the actual websites themselves have common and consistent formatting. So I do expect you to go forward. This is just to get you started in some of the stuff that you might not know. But those first people who've done HTML, I want you to do HTML correctly. Not HTML as in hacked. Okay? To learn how to use different HTML tags, the w3schools.com HTML tutorial is excellent. It takes you through all the tags and gives you all the information you need to know to do it correctly. So I do recommend that if you're just now learning this, spend some time, go through the tutorials, try the try it examples, and do it the right way. So thank you very much. Good luck, and hope to see some pretty good sites coming from you. Thanks.